So welcome to the Lighthouse for today's resiliency meditation. So all week we've been spotlighting on doing the deep and noble work of tenderly tending to the parts of our psyche and the parts of our soma that have dealt with trauma. And trauma is the greatest challenge that we're working with in this time, in our collective constitution as a people. Everything that we're reading about and that we're hearing about and that we're witnessing by and large is triggering us, So to use our ESI language, a lot of us are finding ourselves very regularly in red brain. So I am going to share with you a few meditative technologies today that are going to help us get into not just the green brain, but to get into that magical middle space that is the neutrality. Okay, so we've been talking, I always say we, like we're in the room together. I've been talking a lot this week in the sharing sessions and in the gatherings around, when we do the trauma work, it's just as important as doing the light activation work, as doing the orientation towards our potential work. Tending to the shadows and composting them is very, very important. So we're interested in healing the traumatic aspects of the psyche and soma all the way down to the bottom bones, so that we're not carrying any imprint of, oh, I'm just getting by, or oh, I'm just making do, or I'm almost there, but getting to that very robust, well-rounded, kind of super abundant, embodied sense of wholeness that allows us to feel really clear and to feel really confident, and to, most importantly, to feel peaceful, to be able to choose peace more regularly and more freely and more from a place of conscious effortlessness. So these meditations are about doing the inner alchemical work of awakening and uplinking revolutionary love in our awareness. Revolutionary love. About a decade ago, I started turning my attention towards this idea of evolutionary love, love that wasn't ordinary. And I'm not talking about just the romantic dimensions of it, right? But a loving awareness that was non-normative and that was so animated, and that was so inclusive. But somehow now it seems like we as a people have outgrown the immensity of even the idea of evolutionary love, and we've birthed ourselves. We're cracking open into the dimensions of revolutionary love. And so every time you meditate, you're doing the inner alchemical work of awakening this and uplinking it. So you're not just working at the level of idea and thought and concept and projection, but you're working at the level of, you're getting into the underbelly, you're working into the substratum, into the subconscious mind, so that you're being an architect of the blueprints that are running the show, that are your perceptions and your actions and your attitudes. You're being an architect of revolutionary love, an architect of revolutionary love. It's a kind of neurogenic regenesis. These meditative, these dynamic meditations are. So they're neurogenic because they're coming from and they're having a profound effect on your nervous system, and they're recreating you from the inside of the cell out. How exciting to be participating, at a level that is pretty profound and undeniably effective. So take this moment. We've been doing this all week. Take this first moment to tune into the part of you right now that is that's feeling like it's been carrying the tenderness of the ages. What part of you has been carrying the tenderness of the ages? And ask this part of yourself, before I give you the technique, ask this part of yourself, however subtle or obvious this part may be, ask yourself, what medicine or meaning is most aligned in this moment for me to harvest by tending and helping and holding you. So you're kind of looking at the traumatized, tender part of yourself as if it were, a beloved child or a dear friend or someone that you are responsible for taking care of. So taking a moment to listen in at that level. And very oftentimes we would far prefer, we can find 1,008 reasons why we should do something other than tend to the trauma, right? There's so many more attractive things to take care of. But, and I've been saying this a lot this week, but if we don't tend to the traumatized part of ourselves and love it open and return it to wholeness and tranquility, then we run a really high risk of those parts of ourselves becoming cold or crass or indifferent. We want to reduce the reasons for being numbed out. We want to reduce those reasons. And the work of tending to our trauma can feel like taking a big leap across the chasm of our own personal Grand Canyon. It can feel like an immense bit of work. But inside of each and every one of us, we have an incredible Taj Mahal that if we just simply get out of our own way, that incredible sanctuary, that incredible temple, that place of destination, which is 100% available right there inside of you, will illuminate, and you can discover yourself to indeed be a lighthouse in the fog. To discover yourself to indeed be a lighthouse in the fog. So years ago, when I was a very young, wild, young woman, and I was living on a commune, and I've told you some stories about this place, which was an amazing, formative time of my life. One of my very first generative experiential moments of, like positive friction with Qigong, the teacher said, energy is ethical, and all you have to do is ask. And energy is always right there waiting for us to notice it. So I want to give you the first place to be. So you're going to cross your hands like this. You're going to join the radiance points, which are the center points in the pads of the thumbs. You're going to conjoin the radiance points of the thumbs, and then you're going to bring the hands. I just had to move my hands below the bun of my hair. You're going to bring the hands to the top of the shoulder blades, and then you're going to melt the shoulder blades down. And you're going to just look at the tip of the nose and start breathing as deeply and as fully as you can. So this simple structure shift that you've created in the architecture of your anatomy is lifting energy up from the first three epicenters into your heart. So anytime that we work with the parts of us that are feeling tender, we want to do it from a heart-centric place. So you're bringing all this generative, creative energy up with loving awareness into your heart, into the lens of the heart. Okay. So just breathing really deeply here. So in the work of awakening, breathing, we want to follow our bliss. Yeah, there's a lot, you hear a lot about that in the work of awakening. But we also want to pay attention to our blisters. Following the bliss, but also honoring the blisters. Where has life, served us challenge? How can we do the inner alchemical work of transforming that energy? So again, energy is ethical. All you got to do is ask. Ask life force to be an active participant in the endeavor of the moment. of tending and befriending, of holding and helping and healing any part of your humanity that feels fragile. Go into each inhalation as if it were the last chance that you are going to have to receive the inspiration and the insight and the impetus of an inhale. Notice that I'm exhaling out of an open mouth. Let yourself possess a peace that is inhaling and exhaling itself through you. To possess a peace that is incorruptible, inviolable, eternal. Stay with this for another moment. Good, and then bring the hands down. Hopefully that's brought some bone heat into your body. So, moving right along, this is the heart of our meditative work today. So we're going to bring the radiance points of all 10 fingers together. So pads of the thumbs, index, middle, rings, and pinky fingers pressing. And then you want to bring about 15 pounds of pressure into that meeting place. So what happens when you press the radiance points of the fingers together like this is that you're creating a harmonization in the hemispheres of the brain. So, the yogic scientists have known for centuries that, as practitioners, we make the best decisions possible when the left and the right hemispheres of the brain are cooperating and collaborating compassionately, right? So we want to get that left side that is asking all the questions and the right side that is accepting in a conversation of character with each other. Okay, so that's powerfully what's happening through this mudra. The mudra in and of itself is working again at the level of the blueprint. You are a blueprint technician. You are an energy architect when you do this kind of stuff. So this is what you're doing in the outer structure. Tend to, again, you want to keep lifting your generative energy up from the first 3 centers of your body into the cave of your heart. And so you're hovering this radiance point shape right in front of your heart, about 3.5 so inches out in front of the body. So you're going to inhale through the nose. And then you're going to make a circle shape with the mouth, and you're going to take 8 quick bursts of breath out that create the completion of 1 exhalation. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate what that looks and sounds like. And I'm doing the whole thing while looking at the tip of the nose, which is working with the pineal and pituitary glands. Okay, so hold on. This is a good rhythm. We always want to, introduce a new rhythm to the hypothalamus here. So we work with a lot of rhythmic meditation here. Okay, so every time I exhale for those 8 pulsations, I'm pulling my abs in just a little bit. Okay, so we're working with the generative energy and we're lifting it up. We're lifting it up. So we're going to do this for a little while together. Go into the heart of it and try to rest, even in the vigor of it. Try to rest inside of it. So I'm going to cue us. Let me just do a time check here. Good. we have the totally appropriate amount of time to hold space for this meditation. We're going to be in it for a few minutes. So take it easy as you lift it up off the ground so that it can be sustainable. So inhaling, I'm going to talk you through the first few cycles and then I'll join with you. Inhale through the nose. And then hold the breath for a second. And then 8 quick bursts of exhale. Be sure you're not pulling an inhale in as you exhale. They're just out, okay? So pause after that 8th pulse, and then inhale through the nose. Remember, 15 pounds of pressure in the mudra. Pause. Now in that pause after the 8th pulse, see if you can pull the vessel of the belly up towards the bottom of your diaphragm and up into the space where your heart is living, your heart center. Create a massage on the inside of the inside. Inhale. Use this technology to clear the clutter and to clear the incessant chatter of your mind so that you can, again, tend and befriend the parts of you that are feeling like they're fragile. Okay, so I'm going to do it with you. So keep this going. Sometimes when we're in these meditations, I do stop and say things to you, but I hope for you to endure, to stay in the medicine of the meditation. So what's happening in this meditation is it's balancing the tattvas, which are the elements, it's the aspects of your human anatomy that are characterized by earth, air, fire, and water. It's balancing all of these tattvas and sort of putting them in their appropriate place within the template of who you are. So again, that's also working to help you be less defined by duplicity and to be more resilient in times of stress and in times of trauma, and to be able to be more attentive to the parts of you that have been carrying trauma. The past can't touch us. So, and we have a sort of human obsession with reaching back into our past pain and touching it on the ordinary, right? But it can't touch us. Like it's old news, right? It's so 2 minutes ago or 20 years ago. Let the intelligence of the meditative technology get you into this moment in a way that is impulsed by superabundant sensibility, your superabundant sensibility. So you're aligning yourself again with this revolutionary love. It's a love that never fails. It's a love that's never envious. It's never conceited. It's a love that expands when truth triumphs in its living. This kind of loving awareness is living in the center of every human cell, in every human being out there walking around in our world, which means that you're part of that. A love that never fails. It's a love that's ever hopeful, and it's a love that's ever patient. It's a love that is the highest and the vastest freedom, most vast freedom. It's a loving awareness that we can dedicate the rest of our lives to tending to. Pull the generative energy up from the lower levels of your body. Bring all that creative energy up into your heart and irradiate it through the pressurization in the mudra of the dynamic meditation here. A few more cycles. So break the mudra. Break the mudra and bring your hands to the top of your knees. And with your eyes closed, see your brain. You know, when we do this kind of work, we're actually changing the physical shape of the brain. We're creating new illusions for how energy and intention and awareness are moving through us. We're changing the way our habit patterns steer us. We're tending and befriending the subconscious mind in a way that allows the subconscious mind to change consciously. If you ask me, as far as I'm concerned, that is some powerful work. So in yesterday's Qigong gathering, I shared, I had it here. I want to share, these are the words of Pema Chodron. We love her in our community. And I read this yesterday, and you know, the thing about quotes that are good is that, you know, sometimes for me, I'll just say for myself, sometimes I have to like read it 13 times to really get the juice of it. So I shared it yesterday. So if you tap into the replay of yesterday's Qigong class, which was a really good class, you'll get it there, but you're going to get it here too. It's just worth it. And she said, we already have everything we need. There is no need for self-improvement. All these trips that we lay upon ourselves, the heavy-duty fearing that we're bad and hoping that we're good, the identities that we so dearly cling to, the rage, the jealousy, the addiction of all kinds. None of it touches our basic wealth. None of it touches our basic wealth. These are like clouds that are temporarily blocking the sun, but all the time, our warmth and our brilliance, they're right there. This is who we really are. We are one blink of an eye away from being fully awake. One blink of an eye away from being fully awake. I love that. So hopefully you really have the embodied sense of how much warming has taken place in the parts of you that have gotten freeze-framed by fear or trauma. And that you've brought a malleability and an agility and a plasticity back into the human fragility that each and every one of us are very, very subject to it, because we're alive in human bodies, but very particularly in this challenging time that we're navigating. So I want to thank you so much for being here. I hope that you feel really centered, harmonized in the hemispheres of your brain after today's meditation. Take really good care. Sat Nam and Namaste.